Patrick Mahomes is the latest great player to be slumping after him and the Chiefs won the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago and came in second last year to my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And while most collectors and investors buy who's hot and sell who's cold, I like to do the opposite. However, how do we know when is the right time to buy in on Patrick Mahomes or really any other superstar that is underperforming? And then what cards should we be targeting? Well, in this video, I'm sharing every question I'm asking myself to make sure I have the best idea as to when and where the floor price of his cards will be so we can minimize risk and maximize reward. So with that being said, welcome back. Now let's get to work. All right, so first of all, Patrick Mahomes is just another example of a super talented and proven player whose team is underperforming. Remember back in 2014 when the Packers started 1-2, Aaron Rodgers uttered the famous word, relax, which happens to remind me of one of my favorite movies.
Derek! It's relax!
I'm fine, I've done this 1,000 times.
The Packers went on to win 11 of the next 13 games and make it to the NFC Championship game. And then even last year, the Bucs were 7-5 with only 4 games remaining in the regular season before they went on their playoff run. And of course, we all remember how that turned out. So it's important to always keep in mind that winning and losing streaks happen in a given season. Just ask Panthers and Broncos fans. At the same time, it would be ideal to know if and when things will eventually turn around for that star player so we can try and find a good window of opportunity to buy in at a low price. And since we don't know the future, here are the questions or filters that I go through myself. Number 1 is how far in the schedule are we? A slump early in the season is way better than a slump at the end because there's plenty of time to right the ship and actually make the playoffs. A losing streak towards the end of the year can be extra dangerous because even if the team squeaks into the playoffs, you don't want to be playing out of sync, you want to be playing in sync. Number 2, is a star player or his teammates dealing with injuries right now, or are they healthy? And if there are injuries that are keeping him or his teammates from playing their best and building chemistry, I'm feeling optimistic that it's only temporary and there will be a point where they recover and play better. However, if everyone is healthy and they're still sucking, then I'm really nervous. Number 3 is strength of remaining schedule, and I feel like this is exceptionally important in football just because there's only 17 games. And so if a team has a lousy record through the tough part of their schedule, but then they play some softer competition in the second half of the season, I see that as a good sign that they'll bounce back. However, if they are just entering the toughest part of their schedule with a lousy record, then the odds are that that team is going to struggle to win. As I record this, the Chiefs play one losing team in the next month, and the other 3 teams they play all lead their division. So the odds are that they'll lose at least 1 or 2 of those games. Also, since there's way more money on the line in sports gambling than with cards, I'll be looking at what the bookkeepers say regarding the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl at this point. And entering the season, the Chiefs were the favorites at plus 500, and now they've dropped to plus 1400, which is tied with the Cowboys for 5th place. So obviously Vegas doesn't feel very confident in them either. Next up are XFactors, and this could be drama in the locker room or potential blockbuster trades that could go down before the trade deadline. And usually if a team is stacked with talent and in contention for a championship, they'll make a move at the trade deadline to ensure they have the best pieces in place to win now, knowing that they'll be sacrificing the next few years. On the flip side, some struggling teams will be willing to stock up on draft picks in order to enter a rebuild with a lot to work with. And we're seeing this right now with the Texans, who are looking to move Deshaun Watson for several first rounders and need to rebuild from the ground up. I think it's just a matter of seeing how close a team is from the bottom and how close they are to the top in terms of what direction they go. Lastly, I want a better understanding of what the worst case scenario would be. And by that, I mean, if the player is over the hill and won't ever return to form or compete for a championship ever again, what would that look like? And worst case for Patrick Mahomes short term is that the season is a huge disappointment and his cards will continue to fall more in price. However, he still has a Super Bowl to his name. He's still only 26 years old with several more years to play, and I don't think he'll be benched or be a second string quarterback for a while, if ever. So the upside is still very high with some level of legacy already established. So after going through those filters, the other thing I would do is check the charts, because I want to make sure that I can visibly see what cards are dropping the most and when the cards are appearing to hit that bottom value. So still using Patrick Mahomes as an example, I'd be studying all of his cards that interest me, but really only focusing on the ones that are dropping the most in price, because it wouldn't make sense to buy a card that has only dropped 10% in spite of really disappointing play when another card has dropped 40% during the same period of time. Just also remember to factor in that certain rookie cards of his may only now be coming back from PSA, since they weren't really desirable before COVID, and the pop counts of those cards will continue to climb, while the others were desirable back a few years ago and less likely to spike in their PSA pop counts. So that's my process going forward on proven athletes that are still playing. But what additional filter or question would you ask yourself when looking to invest in these types of players? Or would you tweak one of my filters? You know, I love to learn from you guys as well, so I'd love to hear it in the comment section. Also, smash that like button, please. And if this type of content around strategy and mindset interests you, make sure to check out this video up here, which goes over why I decided to sell my sealed wax while so many people in the hobby were just focused on buying it. So I will see you over there. Have a good one.